Hey guys, what's going on? It's me, Paterson, and welcome back to a new video. Now, you know that I letter on the iPad Pro quite a lot. A lot of people do digital art on Photoshop using Cintiqs and iPads, but have you ever tried it with the phone? Well, today I'm here with my iPhone 10 and I'm going to be doing some lettering on the Procreate Pocket app on here. Now this app is basically just the same as Procreate on the iPad, and it's just in a smaller phone. The only problem that is really there is the size of the screen, which is really small compared to the iPad Pro, which is this big, which is giant, and the fact that you can't use an Apple Pencil on the iPhone either. I did a commission for Procreate before this app came out, which I'll link down below. It's on my Instagram, and I believe it's on their Instagram too. Now the pen I'm going to be using, or the stylus, is this Wacom bamboo thing. I'll link it in the description below. It's expensive, but it works on the phone and it connects through Bluetooth very easily to your phone, so you get pressure sensitive drawing. So without any further ado, today I'm going to be doing some hand lettering on my tiny iPhone. So as you can see, this is my size of my hand. This is the size of the actual stylus. It is really small. So I'm not too sure what I'm going to actually letter out, but we'll just play around with it. The first thing I've done is I've got this sort of dot grid up here, which I'll just change the opacity so you can see it a bit more. As you can see here, this is like a grid that I use on all of my lettering art, and I'm just going to go ahead and change the opacity down a little bit and make it a bit lower, something like there, and we'll create a new layer. And you have layers and groups and everything else on here as well. I'm going to change the brush to a normal technical pencil, I think, because I like the technical pencil. I'm going to change it so it has no settings on it, just like so, and we can change all the side parts here and everything here as well. So this is the size of the brush, this is the opacity of the brush, and I'm going to get it to full opacity just for this. So the first thing I'm going to do is literally create some guides. Just quickly create some guides like so. Now this is going to be an arc, and an easy way of creating an arc is by literally duplicating it and dropping it down a little bit, and we can merge these down. So as you can see already, it is literally just like the normal version of Procreate, but just on the iPhone. Create a new layer. We're just going to keep adding layers, and this is how I guide things. Now I'm not sure what we're going to letter yet, but this is like a pretty standard lettering situation going on here. And I'm going to letter out something ridiculous just for a bit of fun. So what I'm going to do is go into a new layer here, and we've got one there, and I'm just going to start out by drawing the skeleton. Now the skeleton of your lettering is really important for when you're building on top of it. Now because we're on the phone, there's a little less control, but you can still do a lot with this. So we're just coming up with an idea and a concept here. As you can see, it's a bit not as accurate as it should be, but we're trying to get it so it kind of works. And this pencil here, you don't actually have to use this stylus, you can use your fingers, but I like to use the stylus because it's got like a kind of a sharp tip on it, so you can see where you're going. And it isn't as you can tell from my drawing here, it isn't as accurate, but it gets the job done. I want to sing and the great thing about doing this on the phone is that you can zoom right in, so you don't have to worry about working on such a small screen. Although you have to zoom so far in just to get the sort of look that you want, or when you zoom in too far, basically you can forget about the rest of the composition if you're not careful. So that is basically the gist of it there. It kind of looks a bit weird right now, but we can always edit it later. This is the skeleton part of the lettering, which is going to be our baseline for it. And you can see that didn't take too long, and anyone can do lettering really. It just means that you have to work within this sort of process. So the next thing I like to do is I always like to duplicate this one and hide the next one. So I don't like to use a tracing paper over it or put a layer on top of it and sketch it again. I like to use that layer there, so it makes it a lot easier for me to manipulate and move it around. And all I'm simply going to do is use the pencil to thicken these lines up and try and create some consistent letter forms here. And as you can see, it's not too hard. We can go in with an eraser later on as well, just to make it work a bit better. Digital lettering makes things a lot easier, but you still have to have the skill of the lettering. And then we'll just zoom out and see what that looks like. That looks okay. We can always like manipulate that later. This is me just adding to it. And there's always like refining that you have to do anyway. But the main point of this kind of lettering exercise is that you want to keep all these points, sort of like all the letters here, consistent. And if it does look a bit inconsistent right now, it's okay. We can fix that after. Now the only problem with this is not as comfortable, but if you had nothing, like if my iPad broke and I needed to, you know, get some sketching ideas down digitally, then this is always a good thing to come to. Or if I don't have my iPad with me, sometimes I find myself, you know, when I'm listening to something like whether it's at church or whatever, and I don't have my iPad with me, I like to use this. I feel a bit like Bob Ross right now, I'm not going to lie. I like to use the same or a similar brush for the eraser to keep that nice texture and grain on the lettering. Okay, and with this brush script, we're going to do the exact same thing, but basically mimic brush. I'm not going to use any cool brushes to do this because I want to show you just with like something that is so simple. And the great thing about this as well is if you wanted to post this to Instagram, you can do it straight off the phone. So you can literally letter something out on top of an image. And because it's digital, you can always go zoom really far in, zoom really far out. I love the fact that I can get the eraser in to tidy this up after. I don't have to worry too much about what I'm doing right now. I can just get all the building blocks in place for it. Something that you see a lot of the time now is people doing all their artwork on the phone. It's like an actual thing that people do, which I think is incredible how they do that. I mean, there are phones with actual apps or styluses in them. I think they're like Galaxy phones that make it a bunch easier, but at the same time, if you've got an iPhone, this stylus here works an absolute treat. It's not like the iPad Pro where you've got like an actual stylus with it. I've got this cool funky G going on here. It's one of my favorite G's to do. As you can see, I'm just going really quickly around this because we're on YouTube. I want to show you in kind of real time what you can do within this app. Get that eraser in, make that eraser much smaller. And then the last part of this is the S. The S is always one of the hardest letters to draw perfectly. Just gonna zoom out to see what it looks like. That looks good so far. We just need to move a few things around. And me being a logo designer or logo type designer, this app works really well for times when I just want to get a quick idea down and shove it into Illustrator, because you can export this as a PDS or a PSD, not a PDS. And I'm not looking for perfection here, otherwise I'll be here for hours. Okay, and there we go, we've got that. I'll get rid of the background layer there. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to basically move this into the center, and we're going to duplicate this because I don't want to break anything inside it. I want to make sure it works all well. And I can use the selection tool here to select certain parts of this and move them. This is the great part about lettering on an iPad or digitally, is that you can move things very quickly. You don't have to get like scan it in or anything, you just move it very quick. And then the shout at the bottom, we can move that. Let's get rid of that so we can get it to where we want it. And then the whole rest of this, we can either expand it a bit or we can move this up, which is what I'm going to do just here. If you use the magnets, it'll keep it in line with everything. And then I'm going to move I want down. And from here, we can really do whatever we want. So now that I've gone ahead and drawn out what would be called a rough version, this is what I would normally do. I would go ahead and refine it with the eraser tool. So I've actually moved everything as well. That's a great thing about this kind of style of lettering when you're doing it in Illustrator or Photoshop. You can move it very easily, and all we do now is basically refine the idea to however we want to refine it to. And we do that by just drawing over it, adding bits in, taking them away, getting those curves nice and smooth all the way around, and getting those nice points there on the S. But I'm not spending too much time on it because it takes a long time to do these things in real life. But this is a really good app if you just want to get down with some lettering and have an easier experience with it. There's also loads of tools that I'll link down below that you can get. I've got a shop coming out very soon, and a shop that I already have where you can buy brushes and they work on here as well. You can do a lot of calligraphy on here, which is cool. You can do brush script or hand lettering. You don't just have to draw. There's a bunch of brushes that you can get. I've got my set coming in here soon, but you can do whatever you want. There's even calligraphy pens in here that you can use, which are pretty cool. And from here we could do a lot of other things. We don't just have to be working just with the letters. We could actually go ahead and create some ornamentation with it. And of course we can just duplicate that now and modify it and move it just to wherever. And there we go, we've got like some ornamentation in there to make it a bit easier. Now that is basically it. We could actually add pictures if we wanted to. So what I could do is I could do a new layer and we can insert an image, and we can do that a couple of different ways. We can go into our images onto our phone here and we can find a cool image if we wanted to. So let's find a cool image. So we'll go and click this one. This is part of my set that I have on my website that you can get, and this is like the mock-up set, and we can just literally paste that in like so and bring that down just below, and then we can just move the lettering into position, ready for Instagram. Now obviously you can change this and you can edit it. This is very rough in the same way, but I hope this sort of gives you a new look at the way that you can create lettering and sharing it on Instagram. This video has been sponsored by Squarespace. If you're like me and you're not very good at creating beautiful website designs like Squarespace does, then Squarespace is the website for you to create your own website. I use Squarespace to show my work, to gain clients, to sell things from the store, which you can look at down below, and it's just an amazing and easy experience, and you don't have to be a wizard to do it. If you'd like 10% off Squarespace, then click that link down below and create your website today. But guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please press that like button and also that red subscribe button down below. And because YouTube have been fiddling around with the subscription feed, you might want to press that little notification bell as well, as they have basically turned the subscription feed off. Like, I don't know what they're doing. People aren't being notified about videos. But if you press that notification bell, you'll always be notified when a new video of mine comes out. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. See you soon. Goodbye.